Practical Wisdom for Modern Witches with your host, the Witch of Lupin Hollow.
Good morning, modern witches, and welcome back to the Witch of Lupin Hollow YouTube channel. So today we're talking about mini rituals for when you're short on time or feeling uninspired. So this is something that I feel super passionate about because mini rituals are really the ideal way to not only maintain your daily spiritual practice, but really get connected even when it feels like you don't have the time or space or energy to be able to do so. So in my free Developing Your Daily Spiritual Practice worksheet that I offer on my website, it's sort of a little miniature preview of my daily spiritual practice program. So the program is an 18-week program that features 18 weekly video modules, a printed journal, live phone or video calls with me. The higher end programs come with oracle readings and moon sign readings. There's a private Facebook group. It's a really robust program. But this worksheet gives you a little snippet, a little preview of the kinds of things that you'll experience in the program itself. So the first part of the worksheet walks you through creating the 6 pillars of your spiritual practice. So this is the system that I've created to kind of create a foundation, a strong base for you to then develop your daily spiritual practice out of. So your 6 pillars are the pillar of mind, the pillar of body, pillar of nature, the pillar of divination, the pillar of devotionals, and a 6th pillar of your choosing. So they're designed to be very flexible, easily adapted to whatever your spiritual path and beliefs are. And, they're sort of somewhat interchangeable because of that 6th pillar. So, if nature is really important in your practice, then not only do you have your pillar of nature, but maybe your 6th pillar also has something to do with nature. Or, the same goes for the mind or divination, whatever it is that you feel especially interested in and passionate about. So the first part of the worksheet just sort of walks you through, writing out what you think your 6 pillars might be. In the Developing Your Daily Spiritual Practice program, we actually spend 8 weeks developing your 6 pillars. So this is just the tip of the iceberg in terms of figuring out what your 6 pillars might be, but it's a really good place to start. So you work out your 6 pillars, what you think those might be. And then the second part of the worksheet walks you through developing a morning and evening ritual and 2 mini rituals. 1 mini ritual for when you're short on time and 1 mini ritual for when you're feeling uninspired. So I find that these are kind of the 2 main reasons that we don't do our daily spiritual practice, right? Whatever it is that we've created in order to, express our spirituality on a daily basis. The main 2 reasons that keep us from doing the thing that we want to do, is either we don't feel like we have enough time, or we don't feel like we have the energy or that we're inspired to do it. So, that can come about in many different ways. If it's, your busy work schedule, or, the people in your life, the people you live with, your partner or your kids, their schedule. If it's that you have a hard time getting up in the morning, and so a morning ritual is a challenge for you. All of those are that you're short on time, right? Or it's that, you're really tired or you don't feel motivated. Maybe you've been affected by seasonal affective disorder over the winter time. Those are all that you're feeling uninspired. So I find that it pretty much boils down to one of those 2 things. Of course, there are more complicated things too, but if you really think about it, those are going to be kind of the main core reasons why you might not do your daily practice that you actually really do want to do, right? So as you're working through the worksheet and you're, sort of starting to sketch these ideas out, you might be wondering, well, what is a mini ritual? And B, how do I create one that's specific to these 2 different situations? So that's what I want to talk about today. So number 1, when you're creating a mini ritual, you want to think about what are the, little tiny elements that really break down your the activities, the pillars that you've created, right? So, for example, if your pillar of divination is that you like to work with tarot cards, then, what are the acts that go into that? So, number 1 might be shuffling your deck. Number 2 might be, drawing a single tarot card. Number 3 might even be cleansing your deck in some way, right? So you want to think about each pillar and break it down into these little tiny pieces. And then think about which of those pieces can be combined into, a quick little ritual, something that's going to take you 5 or 10 minutes at the most. A mini ritual can be as little as 10 to 30 seconds, honestly. So you want to really think about what are the littlest, tiniest building blocks of my daily spiritual practice, or of what I want my daily practice to look like. And how can I combine those in, an easy, short way? So, for example, with the tarot example, you might, obviously shuffle your deck and draw a single card. That's going to be a quick mini ritual. But maybe you want to expand that just a little bit. You have a little bit more time than that. And so you want to add one other thing. Well, maybe you introduce the element of cleansing, right? So maybe you have a quartz crystal wand, a quartz crystal that you have that you like to use for cleansing. And so maybe you place your deck on your altar or the table or your vanity, wherever you're working, and you close your eyes and you hold the crystal and you imagine, it being filled with positive energy, and then you wave it in a circle around your tarot deck, and then you shuffle your deck and pull your card, right? So now you've created this mini ritual that is a little bit more involved than just pulling a card, although just pulling a card can certainly be a ritual in and of itself. But you've created something that maybe feels a little bit more intimate, a little bit more in depth, has, sort of gotten you in the headspace of, pulling a card and tapping into your intuition, and it's taken you 5 minutes, right? So those are the kinds of things you want to think about when you're creating a mini ritual for when you're short on time. You want to break it down into the smallest steps, the individual pieces of that puzzle, and figure out what things are unnecessary, number 1, right? What can you get rid of? What can you take out? Maybe it's that normally you like to do a 3-card tarot reading, but that takes quite a bit more time, intuition, really tapping in. So making it only a 1-card draw, you still get, tuned into your intuition, but it takes less time, right? And it also, you're going to spend less time thinking about the reading itself because you're not trying to connect the meanings of multiple cards. You're just getting a quick, easy message from a single card. So you want to think about what takes you the least amount of time, what is unnecessary in this moment, right? You might want to do those somewhat unnecessary larger rituals when you have the time and the space to do that. But if you are, running out the door to work and you just want that 5 minutes to get grounded and tapped in so that you can start your day on the right spiritual foot, then, this short little ritual that we've created with a quartz crystal cleansing and drawing a single card, that might be really supportive in that moment, so that instead of doing nothing, you at least have tapped in for 5 minutes. And I think that is what's so important about this concept of mini rituals, is that a mini ritual is this form of self-care, because if you did nothing, you're probably going to feel kind of guilty about that. You're going to feel discouraged that, I didn't have time to do my daily spiritual practice this morning. You feel maybe a little bit like you've failed, right? You feel like a bad witch is what I always hear, right? Oh, I'm such a bad witch. I don't practice every day. You're not a bad witch if you don't practice every day, first and foremost. But if you want to practice every day, then you need to find those ways to make sure that you can. Because your spiritual practice should be something that's supportive and a way to care for yourself, not something that makes you feel guilty because you didn't have time. So that's one example. On the other side, we want to create a mini ritual for when you're feeling uninspired. And that's a whole different beast, because maybe you have lots of time, right? Maybe you have hours of time, but you're not feeling inspired. You just want to sit in your PJs and watch TV. And you're not feeling like getting tapped in and, spending that hour that you actually do have to get connected. So this is another area where mini rituals can really come in handy. So, for example, in that situation where you are, wanting to sit in your PJs and watch TV and have a glass of wine and some popcorn, and you don't want to do anything, but you know that you do, right? Deep down, you do want to practice. You're just not feeling inspired, feeling like you have the energy to pour into it. So, and you know that if you don't practice, tomorrow morning, you're going to feel guilty about the fact that you watch TV instead of doing your spiritual practice, right? And again, your spiritual practice should not be something that brings you guilt or shame. Your spiritual practice is meant to support you. It's meant to be this form of self-care that you choose to give to yourself. So something that you can do is to set up a mini ritual that you can always turn to in those moments. On the worksheet, you're going to create this little mini ritual that you already have written out. You don't even have to think about it. You don't have to go, okay, well, I need to gather these supplies. I need to get ready to go do this. You're just going to grab wherever you have that ritual written down or recorded, and you can just do it, right? So I think it's important that mini rituals for when you're feeling uninspired have preferably no tools involved or very few tools. Maybe you light a single candle, or you do something like that is very low impact. It requires very little of you to utilize that tool. Mostly because if you're feeling uninspired and now you have to go gather things and get everything together and, get ready to do something, maybe by the time you've done that, you're going to be feeling more energized and ready to do it, but you probably aren't ever going to get to that point because you're feeling so unmotivated, right? So you want to create this ritual using very little outside of yourself. So think about your pillars, think about the pillars of your spiritual practice, and think about which things you can connect with without using anything, right? So tarot probably isn't going to be the thing. If your pillar of divination is tarot cards, maybe divination isn't what you need right now. Maybe your pillar of the body is ritual bathing. That sounds great, right? You probably need that bath time and that time to get connected to your body and clear your mind, but you're not feeling inspired to run the bath and, gather the Epsom salts and your favorite herbs. And no, you're not feeling that, right? You are feeling like you want to sit on the couch and watch Scandal. Do people still watch Scandal? So look at your pillars and figure out which ones don't require any tools. Maybe your pillar of mind is meditation, right? All you need is the power of your mind. So before sitting on the couch and watching Scandal, cross your legs, close your eyes, and just let go for 5 minutes. Take that time for yourself to say, okay, I'm not feeling inspired to, really do my full spiritual practice, my full evening ritual, whenever it might be, right? But I can give myself 5 minutes to just let go and release. So, maybe your mini ritual for when you're feeling uninspired is simply that, crossing your legs and closing your eyes and doing 5 minutes of meditation. Maybe you feel like lighting a candle before doing that 5 minutes of meditation is going to be supportive. And maybe it is, right? Maybe that single tool is going to help you to clear your mind. But you want to give yourself the space within that moment that even if the mini ritual you've designed includes that single tool, that one simple act, if you're not feeling inspired to do it, don't force yourself to do it. Just allow yourself to have that 5 minutes of release. Another example of something that, truly doesn't require any tools is, maybe your pillar is to connect with the seasons or connect with nature. You're not feeling up for a 5-mile hike when you want to sit on the couch and watch TV, but maybe what you can do is, open the window and look outside for 5 minutes, or maybe you can actually go outside and sit in the garden for 5 minutes, force yourself just a little bit to go outside and get some fresh air, and realize that after that 5 minutes, you're probably going to feel better. You're probably going to feel more relaxed, feel like your mind is clearer. Maybe you're still tired and you still want to watch TV, but at least you took that 5 minutes for yourself and gave yourself that space. So these have been some ideas for creating mini rituals for when you're short on time or when you're feeling uninspired. Mini rituals, I find, are just such a powerful way to support yourself when you don't have the time, energy, or space to practice your spirituality in the way that you might want to. But at least you've given yourself this, 30 seconds or 5 minutes or 10 minutes to get tapped in and get connected with your spirituality. So comment below. Tell me what you think of these mini rituals that I've shared. Share any mini rituals that you've created, whether through the worksheet or in the past in your life. And I really look forward to hearing how many rituals have had an impact on your life, your spirituality, and your daily spiritual practice. So comment below, subscribe to the channel so that you can be notified whenever I release a new video, which I put out every week. And thanks for stopping by.